Call the meeting of the Newbury Historical Commission to order, January 11th, 7:03 p.m. All rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This happens every month. Yeah, I go. One time I made it to the windowsill.
Play marbles and this game go on forever.
It's all part of the job.
You thought there was no good reason to watch these recordings, right?
Everybody pick up the minutes and let's check those over. Any corrections, additions, subtractions on the minutes from November 9th, 2023? Do I hear a motion to accept minutes as written?
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second?
I'll second that.
Rebecca? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done. Okay, treasurer's report, Lon's away, so nothing's really changed. I think the last, he had paid all the bills and there shouldn't be anything else coming in at this point. So we'll hear from him next month. Website report.
I'm pretty good. You don't have any images, right?
There's a separate file that I sent you
Oh.
with all the images.
Okay, because I was like thinking about that because I only saw just the text. And I wanted to ask about that. Okay, because I wanted to add.
If you don't have it, let me know and I'll
All right,
send it.
I'll double check.
Yeah.
But I wanted to add that, and then I need to still connect with the guy. He's never there whenever I go, so I need to like sit down with him. So I'm gonna try to connect with him on Tuesday because Monday's a holiday, right?
Monday's a holiday.
Another holiday?
Yeah, right.
So is this the new?
Yeah, I'm
The
gonna
new
launch
one?
it. Yeah, so like the new one will be up soon. So like I'm gonna abandon the old one completely, which is going to be slightly sad because I'm a little nervous to
But
like
the
go completely.
URL's gonna be the same?
Yeah, it'll be the same website. I'm just gonna relaunch the new one with all the new stuff, like Richard. I feel bad because your stuff is like, I wanna get that
Been sitting
online.
there,
And
yeah.
were you able to fix the Moody House?
Yeah, that's the thing, because when I go online, I see it as I see it. I don't see it as you see it. And it's because of the phone. That's why I want to abandon that old site, because there's
Okay.
too many limitations.
So you're
it's
moving everything over?
To the new
So
one.
it's a new company, or is it?
technically, it's just a different, I used a different
It's a
website
different
builder,
platform, yeah.
and then it's
Okay.
just gonna launch on ours, so it'll just be a different website. I know, it's fun.
Thank God you're handling it.
We should also be asking
tedious.
them maybe about a scheduler.
Yeah, like, so we have that
Yeah.
end of the thing, that's actually not a bad thought. We're gonna, I think, need to have some sort of like
Formal schedule.
class,
Yeah.
show us how to all use it simultaneously, but we'll get to that. But yeah, yes. 24th century, right, or 2024.
Okay, correspondence.
I don't have an agenda.
Do you want mine?
I had one. had an extra.
That's probably
I
why.
can't find
Here,
it.
take mine.
It's gotta be in the pile of stuff somewhere. Thank you. Because we have lots of.
Yeah, we can handle it.
The local historic study committee is meeting Wednesday, the 24th. Anybody wants to go? It's at 5:30 at municipal offices.
Okay,
Okay.
and that's for the Lower Green Study Committee.
Yes,
Okay.
local historic district study committee.
And what day is
Okay,
it?
2 weeks.
It is Wednesday, January 24th at 5:30.
Note, Whittier vote, is that the 24th?
That's the 23rd.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good. They thought
Because
that.
this is a Wednesday and that has to be a Tuesday. Voting is always on Tuesday. We got hello, we got a postcard from the Mass Historical Commission to say they're doing the next round of preservation funds. And we had a few things from the Pink House. Let's just suffice it to say, we had a lot of emails back and forth from the Pink House. Then we had the meeting at Pitta Hall, and we did get we have a draft preservation restriction on it that was sent to the Commonwealth in June of 2022. We already saw all that stuff, so I had asked Michael at the historic why it wasn't on the website, the website. So now it is up on the website because it got dropped in the process somewhere. So there's lots of things. We got several things thanking us from Rochelle for our, attention to them and all that. So that's what this whole stack is. It's all
so did you go to the,
Pink House.
who went to the
Oh, yeah.
meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
So is there a summary of where they're at now?
They still need a land swap, right? They don't have the land.
Right, but part of what came up there was that it can be anywhere within, what was it, a mile?
Within a
10 miles?
mile, where the crow flies.
Of any
Existing.
existing federal site.
Which means downfall is out.
So,
Whether it's in Massachusetts or not.
Yeah.
Could be
Oh,
anywhere.
really?
Yeah.
it's very bizarre.
Okay.
The whole thing is very bizarre.
I mean,
So-
so what else do we have federal?
Because, well, it's.
There's the Parker River and this Cape Cod National
But
Seashore.
Salisbury has quite a few of them.
Of federal sites?
Or sites that they would
That'd be
consider
potential.
as a trade for
Oh.
this. This is, the whole thing is the trade.
Yep.
So it came out that even if they make a deal with somebody that's in Colorado and it's within a mile of one of the big
Of one of the
sites
federal
there,
sites, yeah.
that they will accept it as long as it's acceptable by the money.
Yep.
So they're
So-
trying to do a national.
So they're trying to
Search
do
now?
it.
Well, they've
It's
already.
with Salisbury.
actually doing it.
Yeah.
Salisbury perked up and said, well, nobody's asked us, and I'm like,
But they don't have a facility within a mile.
They don't have a federal
But
site.
hopefully they, would consider how much they gain, and it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Goodness
But
gracious.
Salisbury did come forward, they weren't that.
But is that a matter of law that it needs to be within a site, or is that just something they threw in there?
no,
as a
that's,
condition?
that's
the way they
their,
work.
that's the way they work, that it doesn't matter where the site is. In other words, it doesn't have to be in Massachusetts,
Right.
or it doesn't have to be within, crow flying distance of where the Pink House sits at the moment.
Yep.
It has to be an acceptable trade by being within a mile of an already accepted area, so that they know that the land is acceptable
Yep.
to be part of its,
Right. It's not in the
the
middle of
whole,
a development
the
somewhere.
whole
Yeah,
countries. And then they can trade it, but it's, it was a lot of money. I mean, it's 400,000 or something like that,
400,000.
yeah.
And they were figuring $1,000 an acre, so that's a lot of acreage.
So where it
So
goes
now,
from there, I don't
They
know.
will accept Upland also.
Yeah.
They wanted to have a road going in at least.
Yeah.
And that would
They want
cut down the
They wanna
acreage.
trade 400 acres for
because-
9? Right, the Pink House site is what? How big is that?
But it's because the house is on it and how much the house is worth.
House isn't worth a dime.
It is according to them. And
Look at
the size, the assessment of what it was, what it would be if it was still on the tax record. So it's all very convoluted
Yeah.
and,
The reason why it
it's
has
just
to-
back and forth and it's all just
Your tax
craziness,
dollars.
but,
Yeah.
so it's all still hanging in the air. Although they were supposed to make an agreement one way or the other, whether they were gonna shut the whole thing down or not, by, wasn't it in the beginning of January? So, who knows?
Well,
It's like, the
They got a bunch of
never-ending
leads,
song.
but they've had a bunch of leads, so.
Well, they had a couple of really good things going, and both of them fell through, like at the last minute, so.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are all hush-hush and very private, and we don't really know what's going on with them, but then again, it's, all we care about is whether or not we have to do something because it's coming down, so that's what that whole thing is all about.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, so, a lot of people were there. It was quite a few people there. And,
Yeah, it was bad.
I was surprised at how many people were there, actually, and it was an interesting meeting, because people had a lot of different things to say, and we learned I learned a few things that I had no clue about, like the exchange could
Well,
be
how they-
anywhere and things like that, so it was interesting, but it's still up in the air, unless they've shut it completely down, but I don't know if they had their meeting and decided that yet or not over there, so.
Okay. All right, what else do we have?
That's all I'm saying, he can't be there. This is an email from Mom, whose son is in the Boy Scouts, and they had a genealogy question, and she said that she wanted to reach out to us because our website was very helpful. The old one.
that makes me happy.
Yeah, and that he really enjoyed working on it, because I guess he was getting it, because he had to get they get genealogy badges now, I guess.
Yes,
It's
they
not-
do, yes.
I don't know, it's been a long time since I was in the
My son was
Scouts,
the
so, and it
historian.
wasn't the Boy Scouts, so. But
I
they
never did Boy
encouraged
Scouts.
them to find extra resources and different things, so he was really happy that he found all this information out there, and, I told her that, he wanted to know if we could add a page, an interest page, and I said we were working on the website, so we'd let them know, but he was showing his troop leader, and he was very happy, so that was nice.
Interest page?
Yeah,
What do you sign? What's an interest
I know,
page?
right? That's what
Maybe
he,
like him,
showing that he did it?
Yeah, maybe.
Some sort of,
Yeah.
that'd be like a Facebook page. I've actually thought about it.
do you think
We
this
need a
could be
Facebook page
something you can
sometimes.
add to the websites of interest page?
Oh, okay, I know what he means. All right,
link?
now I know what he means.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me that, and I'll remember that. Can I add it?
Sure.
I'm sure it's a important for you.
Yeah, well, I have them all in email, so I'll just reprint it so that, minutes are complete. We got an email from the, Mass Historic, these are emails, Historical Alliance, talking about when this spring lineup of things they're gonna have, succession planning for historical organizations. That was good. Managing born digital materials collections and things like that. So that's all on their website, which is alliance@masshistoryalliance.org, if anybody wants to sign up for any of those things. There's another round of virtual workshops, which I believe I emailed to all of you. Somebody asked us if there were aerial photography that existed prior to 1975 in the Plum Island area.
yes,
I would think so.
Yeah, that airport's been there forever, so.
yeah.
Well, what about that site
Yeah.
that you post from?
Historicaerials.com
It'll have a copyright stripe across it because you have to pay for the membership, but it still affords you back to 1938, then it's 1950, but
least
multiple
before
years.
Well, I told them to contact the assessor's office, because we do have stuff on the town website that is accessible if you know how to get into it. And also, not Mass Historical, who was it? Can't think of the word. When we were working on the map, to get the new map done for the visitor's guide, it's part of MDC or something that does it. They also did a lot of stuff like that, so they might have something out there. But I told her to try to talk to them first and see if they could be of any assistance. So I have not heard back, and this was from December,
Okay.
the beginning of December, so.
Maybe you can shoot that other website over to them too.
Yeah, it's a scrollable website that is,
Pretty easy once you.
yeah, it's a phenomenal website.
And what
It does
is it again?
overlays and whatnot, so.
Aerial,
It's quite literally
No.
historic, aerials.com,
historicaerials.com.
and boy,
Do you remember seeing from around there?
oh, you can.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I've never posted from the aerials, I've never, as it only goes back to 38.
Right.
It's really neat, it's just the spots of the cottages yet, but you can follow the growth. What's
But the
frustrating,
USDA too, for some reason, they have a bunch of them. Because I got a bunch from them.
what's,
They were early, like early 30s.
but what's nice about this one is that it's not spot shots. You can dial it, you get to move around, you can go down to the bluffs, I have seen
Because
Grape
it's where they
Island.
fly, right? You like follow where they fly?
No, they're old satellite shots amalgamated.
Oh.
So you get to pop it around, you can go out to sea, you can go back, and it's, in 38 it seems like, and it's not, but there aren't a lot of satellites in the time, so it's almost a guy hanging out the window.
Well, so I figured it'd be somebody like with a plane, you know,
Yeah,
like
you
taking
would-
random pictures, but.
You would think, but then I think then it goes 58, 55, 58, 60, it becomes a little bit more often, but you can follow the progressions of anything, right across the country, everywhere they've tapped
The
into that.
haystacks.
Yeah.
You
Also,
can,
they used to be around.
yeah, the 38 one is really
As a
fascinating.
matter of fact, the haystacks, there's some interest.
Rebuilding?
The copyright
Yeah.
stuff
There was
frustrating.
a meeting,
I had a lot of interest in trying to get those
last
haystacks.
night there was a meeting at the Sportsman's,
The Sportsman's.
because they own the property that the haystacks are on. And I
On-
heard
on
through the
Route 1.
grapevine that Bob Colby has agreed to cut it. So I will keep you informed if you want to get involved in one.
To replace the ones prior to the bridge, or the
No,
ones that are
That's Sportsman's
Route
Club
1.
Route 1.
by the,
Yeah.
downwind from the
Not
golf
Plum
course?
Island.
By the Woods Hole. And
Well, if we,
what's the name of that bridge?
whatever the bridge
Fuller?
is.
No.
Martin Burns Bridge.
Isn't it Martin Burns? Yeah, right there.
So that's Route 1.
Well, make sure you
So they
keep an ear
own
on that.
that property, and I guess he's agreed to cut it, and they're trying to organize it now. And
Do they have to do that while it's still frozen? No.
they'll
Is it-
probably do it in the spring, and they won't be able to pin it down because of the way the tides run, but I'll keep up on it. And if
Because you do it
wanna-
before, yeah, you do it with like,
It's better to be, it's
Fall.
nice.
So this is the one that, right,
you do it the spring.
if you're coming from here, say, and you go past, like, the
you're
golf
going
course
around.
is up on the hill up there, right? Isn't it
No.
kind of up in a little hill?
It's
the
before
golf course.
that.
And then there's
Before
the
that.
stacks were there, and then there's the bridge, and then there's a white building that's been there forever, that's some sort of
Looks like a
Government,
James Tudor
college
house,
group
correct.
thing or
Yeah.
something there. Is that right, where we were at?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
spot.
Yeah.
cool.
Because I think it's something that it's a very old, obviously, skill, and
Yeah.
it's, who's gonna know how to do it?
We've talked about this, we should get
Well, my
somebody.
husband has built them, no, you know.
No, but I mean, you know, so there's like, what, 2 people in town who can build them? I mean, it's,
Well, the Cunninghams have all still had experience, and the Colbys.
yeah, but it's nice to not let it die out, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, there's staddles all over the place on right off Old Point Road, there's some on each side of the bridge down
What
the
kind of shape
island.
are they in the
You
status?
know,
They're still in
The
great
cedar,
shape.
cedar poles.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot on Newman Road still.
I mean, you can see them clearly going onto the island and right off the
Mm.
island, and
They're just not covered.
The one we did for the 375th was all new poles, so
That's at the
Dick had
foot of-
just cut those, so that would be the one that's in the best shape over there.
that's
That's at the island,
before you
right?
go over the bridge onto
On
the
the
island,
island, yeah.
yeah.
Neat.
The staying
Nice.
wet is it's getting wet and dry that rots the wood. Once they go down that certain bit,
They
the
stay.
bottom part doesn't really rot. It just
Yeah.
kind of
Interesting.
just stays.
Okay, what else we got for correspondence?
I'd help though, you put me down, I'll run ahead. I'll run a
Okay,
fork
got an
for you.
email from Inspectional Services. Oh, before we do that, let me go through this because this is just odd to me. We got an email that says, "Hi, I am Thomas Woodman from the House of Woodman. I am unaware if any of our family is in touch with your office. If not, you can contact me here."
Oh,
Thank
The
you.
ferry,
No, that's this. I wanted to do this before we got to
House
the
of
ferry.
Woodman. Like a-
Sales at District X. So who's the House of Woodman?
Is of Essex or of
Fire
like,
claims?
or of like, is this from like London? You know, like somebody from
House of Gucci?
oh, yeah.
You just came in late
The
yesterday afternoon,
micro-insurance
I'm like, I have
company.
no idea who this, or whatever this
How
people, so
interesting.
this
Okay.
rings no bells, right?
No.
Is it not just bizarre, or is it me? Okay.
Somebody in India trying to sell you.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, so weird.
Broken English is a big giveaway.
Well, yeah, District X US sales, yeah, that's,
Anyways, anything else?
So I did
Shred.
not reply, because I was like, I don't know, you know what this is talking about, that's the one, okay. So we got an email from the building department regarding the, ferry house, otherwise known as the pumpkin house. And the
Like a
irony
toll house,
is,
right? Wasn't
there, the building department was contacted last week by Cummings Architects to set up a meeting between Peter, the building inspector, and their client, Ron Haska, who owns 286 High Road, which is apparently the actual address number, but that is not the number that's on Macris. It's a whole nother story. And Peter has agreed to meet with them on the 18th, and he mentioned to Martha that they wanted to come in, and Martha thought there was a preservation restriction on the property, and there is, but it's a maximum bedroom thing because of the septic. And so she being Chrissy, went online and found out all kinds of stuff, so I was really happy that she was able to get that stuff done. But, so she talked, but they want to know if I can be there, I guess, and I'm like, I don't know.
So what do they?
They want to try to do something with the house, they evidently, I think they want to add stuff to it or whatever, but it's got a two-bedroom
Septic on it?
two-bedroom max due to the, two-bedroom, it says two-bedroom septic, but it's,
Yeah.
I guess, Martha mentioned that I guess years ago, somebody was gonna try to put a little, like, coffee shop, cafe kind of place in there, but they couldn't because there wasn't enough, because the septic and because the preservation is on there, so I don't know what they're
That'd be
planning to
cute.
do, what they
Makes
wanna
sense
do,
right
but
across
it's a
the road.
very historic house, and this is the one that Lon is supposed to be getting the paperwork about. But he's not here,
Really?
she
it?
asked.
Was it called the ferry house or was it called the toll house?
It was, well,
It was called both, wasn't it?
it's, for me, it's always been called the ferry, or the pumpkin house,
I'm just trying to
because
imagine.
it's orange.
I mean, do they want to go up? Like what? I'm trying to.
I don't
imagine what
know,
they
I
wanna do.
mean,
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to,
I'm
because
intrigued.
she copied all this stuff from, I mean, she gave me the thing and I copied all these things. So I
Yeah,
haven't
we gotta
read what the
get
terms and
that.
conditions are, but,
Book from Walmart.
Let me see,
he's,
read the.
so the 18th, it would be on the 18th. So do you want me to go to that, or do you want me to stay away from that, or what? You wanna look at this?
No, I
You
guess
said?
we gotta go, unless we find out. I mean, if it's preservation restriction doesn't involve the building,
Yeah.
and if they're not, the question,
Septic
the question is are they gonna require a demolition permit? Which if they were smart, they'd find a way to do whatever they're doing and not require a demolition permit and not disturb the core of the house.
So I'm not sure what they're planning, because as I said, I didn't get a chance to really look at this, and there is no actual plans in it, I
No.
guess.
They give a brief history or anything?
Yeah, it's like, you know,
Because there isn't a lot on there.
on this property.
I mean, it's a
Yeah,
good
I'm
size,
just
it's a
thinking
good
I
size
don't even
piece
know
of property,
what the
actually.
date of it.
It's on our list because it is historic and it's old.
As the bridge has been rebuilt, that side of the road was one of the ones that it got encroached on more and more, because that's the way the bridge, when they
Moved
rebuilt
it
it.
over, yeah.
The first time, he lost a lot, the road kisses his house a lot more because of that.
Yeah, I mean,
What year they got
it's NEW 303, NEW being Newbury 303, it's a code that's on the Macris. It's listed as 270,
Really?
and I don't know why it's listed as 270. I've looked up everything we have, it says 270, but there is no 270, it's 286 and thing, but that makes no sense to me because the Barton Estate is the numbers, they're not that far apart.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the house right after the Kenny's house at the foot of the, at the end of the green, so it makes no sense, but
No, isn't,
Well, there's a
no
couple
idea.
houses in
no,
between them.
yeah, isn't,
trying to see what
Collins
these
in
numbers
between
are.
it?
That junk house.
Yeah, Collins
there
is
two
in
houses?
between it.
Yeah.
Isn't there a fire in
Newbury
that
Mine.
house 15 years ago?
Well, I'm just looking at the roads just because,
I wasn't here thinking.
If you go to my map, the property tax map,
Oh,
it'll
yeah,
show you
it'll
the
pull
property
those up.
ones, and it'll tell you what's on the record, MIMAP.
you know all the tricks. My map?
Yeah, MIMAP, Newbury My Map. You can get there from the town website. Merrimack Valley is what it is. Go.
So, because if you punch in what we have is 270, it doesn't show you anything.
MIMAP.
It's just odd. So then I'm like, how did we make this mistake? We must have made a mistake when I was typing up these
Each town
lists.
has.
But it's on the map is that way.
Eva, wasn't there a fire in there 15 years ago?
I don't recall it. I don't.
I mean, there's a number of parts of buildings to that place.
Yeah,
And
there's
it
little
is
extensions that,
All right, so
blinding orange.
let's go and find out what they're trying to
You'll
do.
love this.
You be
You
around?
just blow the
Can you
map up
go
any way
to
you
that?
Yeah.
want to. You
Try to
can do
get
everything you want
Get some
inside.
pictures.
Focus on what they're trying to do.
Yep.
It'll tell you your house, you'll,
So
in the moment.
when is it?
The 18th. Any more details, I don't know, because my paperwork
And
is
where?
being removed from me.
Where?
Town hall.
Time?
She's reading things and I can't.
Okay.
well, she owned that one.
Yeah, that I found surprising
yeah?
too.
Yeah, I didn't know she owned that one.
The whole
I
thing
mean,
is
I know
kind
she
of
owned one.
convoluted bizarre, if you
Right.
ask me, but that's all right, nobody asked.
I didn't see an estimated date.
I don't know,
We'll figure it out.
any other day of the week would fine, Tuesday, I think they haven't
They haven't
locked
set
it
a
in.
time yet? Okay.
Maybe not locked it in, all right, so she will let me know too, and I will be speaking with her because Chrissy will have the info.
Okay, what else do we have on the correspondence?
I think we finally made it through, because I didn't go through all the pieces of the pink house. So,
Yep, that's fine.
Badge, yep, that's them all.
All right, so we have Jack Wright Bicky here that has something under correspondence.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm, amongst a lot of my research, most recently, I was taken back to the Paupers records on the town's Laserfiche portal, and after lots of tying together, quilting together the information, I'm very confident I know where the Newbury Almshouse Cemetery is. I think I've sent you the information and the backup to that. I don't know, I seek from you all input and direction as to going forward how we should bring it forth to the public, honor it, or, you know, and in some way come to some recognition of it. The almshouse run from 1828 to about 1860. Today, you'll go home, you four, Rich, I'll get your email. I found lists of names of dead through the portal on the website. The information I've had, I can count probably 50 or 60 names, babies from a year and a half to 80-year-old, people who died while under the town of Newbury's people's jurisdiction, guidance, all of it. So in 1900, a gentleman named Reverend Torrey bought the land, the 5 acres. Not that the cemetery was 5 acres, mind you, but he was very well aware, as was many people in the day, that there wasn't, of course, a cemetery. You couldn't be running an almshouse cemetery with an average of 40 to 45 people. That's part of the documentation on the website, because they have to submit that number for documentation of the day. And a quick aside is, we're very lucky. West Newbury did not have this option when they were looking to find their almshouse. They were blessed to find theirs through the use of the U.S. Census from the decades that pertain to theirs. Susan, you know, that was one of their key ways. Jane Wallace and Susan Follansbee in the day were able to track it, because there wasn't a physical record keeping in the moment, but they knew from mappings and whatnot where it was. Then they followed people, then they followed it. But that's a quick aside. We're blessed here in this town. We have it on Laserfiche records. So I made mention that it was always I believe it was always a dirty little known thing, but Yankee Puritans in the day, we respected the fact we were giving them a place to stay. When they died, we respectfully put them away, and the recognition going forward for the future was never a consideration. So when we sold the almshouse, the land just went with the farm without any encumbrances, no mention. Ambrose, one of the subsequent owners who owned the property in the time that sold the 5-acre parcels that Torrey bought it from, Reverend Torrey knew it was there. And in 1902, he asked the town of Newbury to make a decision on whether or not we should address the abandoned cemeteries in the town. Because Reverend Torrey in 1899 was the moderator for the town of Newbury. So he was very connected. He was a deacon for the Byfield Parish Church. And the Byfield Parish Church, understand, never wanted anything to do with the almshouse, and they were within a spit shot. You know, the town, and it was just, when they died, we put them on a far part of the farm. Torrey brought it forth and volunteered. There's a letter today, I showed you the documentation, but the more or less is, he says, I got the area, I got a big boulder. If you remember in 1900, they had just put the first settlers' boulder landing place at the end of Cottage Road. They had also in that time frame put the boulder at the corner of Newman and High for the first meeting house location. Finding a boulder and placking it or chiseling it was the thing in the moment. Torrey sought one of those boulders out and had one up there and was offering an inscription and whatnot. The town elected not to take action on it, clearly. In 1902, Torrey and his wife, they must have had somebody called it a bedroom divorce of the day. You didn't get divorced, you just kind of split up. He's a deacon, but I can't have a divorce on my record. So Jane Torrey, his wife, who is a wheelwright, The Wheelwright House is on Elm Street to this day, diagonally across from the old Coleman parsonage, diagonally across from Fraser Lane. There's an old American Foursquare with a barn in the back. That was the Wheelwright House. He was also a deacon for the Byfield Parish Church. So Torrey was himself a reverend with the church. Wheelwright's a reverend with the church, and Torrey marries the wife. But what I'm getting at is, in '02, Jane takes it over, and town makes no move. Everybody's aware, because it's brought up virtually at the town meeting. Everybody knows that, well, yeah, we ran the poorhouse, yeah, we know it's there. Torrey couldn't generate the momentum to do it. His wife lived there till 1923. By probate court, Torrey came from his other pastorate, and he had some private enterprises that he was in. And he came back and he sold it to, I could go through some other documents, but he sold the 5 acres without encumbrances, without restrictions, much like you bought your land, you bought yours, we all have that sentence in the bottom, and he sold it along until a guy in 1958 parceled it out to what we see today. But what I get at is in 1923, he knew still then, the cemetery's in the back, I'm selling it to Channing here, but you know, nobody wanted it then, nobody wants it now, so now Channing owns it. There's a bunch of letters in the 1902 timeframe that really identify it. To this minute, to this day, I submit to you that it'll be exciting. It's one of the more exciting historical things I've done. I've discovered a lot of things, but this was a really challenge. I spent a lot of time on it, and a lot of backup documentation doesn't refute it. And it in fact confirms it over and over. So tonight I sent you the dead bodies list, and it's very humbling because we do have a personal connection there. The fact it was denied during the time they were being buried, initially 1828 to 1860, that we faced the decision as an electorate in 1902 again and denied the opportunity, and here we sit right now tonight making everyone aware. As you know, I posted it on my channel website, and so everybody knows. So here we are. It's come reckoning time, third time.
So who owns it now?
It's private, all of the land. So if you're asking me to the point where you're getting, they died on the grounds of Triton. That's where the almshouse sat, more or less about the tennis courts.
Okay.
So what I would be thinking, if we're going, if we're going to entertain it this way, is that a monument, perhaps after I seek out the permission of the homes so I can get up on what was the pasture, up on the top, from 1923 from Torrey sold it until 58 when the Webbers broke it up, it was a little horse farm. The woman that owned it, the Webbers, for the preponderance of the time, was a hanger-outer with Bushy. Went to all of those shows. There's more than a few pictures in the Daily News of her.
Webbers, what is that?
Yeah, William and...
My maiden name, my grandfather was William William, missing something.
Oh, yeah. And now that I make mention of it, it'll start sticking out like a sore thumb to you, like it does, as far as for the trees thing. So now here it is, what's that?
Watch that forest with the trees thing.
Nothing personal, Jane. So now here we are 120 years later. To me, it's the third reckoning. We didn't recognize it when it was happening. We denied it in 1900. And here we are in 1920, we're made aware of it. So I think, and I submit to you that I have contacted Brian Forget, he's a good friend of mine. I met with him, he actually gave me permission to traipse where I thought it was originally, because he's a fan. I have a long relationship with Brian, he's a wonderful guy. And when I came back and revisited it, that's when I came to the conclusion of where it is now. You know, Central Street. If you leave Fatherland Farm, Central Street Park, Central Street continues on the right. School Street bears left. Okay, Central stays to the right. After you pass Birch Road is the road that curls. One end of it is the exit side of Triton. That's the street you're looking at. The other side of it enters where Linda Allen lives. If you know Linda, that side of Central. About three houses beyond that, you'll see what was left of the stone wall and the beginning of the 5-acre piece that connects via 400 feet 400 feet, and it goes to a four-course stone wall that runs parallel to Elm Street, that's up behind Dennis and Alana Casey's house, for instance. You can see it from that spot. It runs all the way to the point where School Street meets Elm Street. That was called Wheelwright Corner for a long time, for the record. Part of the things I found in Deedings. Wheelwright Corner was called, something mentioned there, because of course Wheelwright lived in the only house down that end of the corner. So I asked, I'm gonna meet with Brian again in a week, or I forget the exact date in a moment, because I've kept him abreast of it, and I said I was gonna come talk to you, because my intention, with your blessings, permission, and help, is that I know through a connection, I know one of the people that owns property that allows you to get back there. One of the blessings, part of the development as it occurred there, because the land's lousy, the houses front, that are very much central, and the septics don't tie into the back, so if we had a dream and I ran a line, truly the back 2.5 to 3 acres is still virgin, still in the woods format. So we're really confident that, or I'm very, very, very hopeful that the rock that Reverend Torrey got, much like the rock at the corner of Meeting House and High and Newman, was dragged all the way from the Highfields. They went specific for a rock that was never going to move again. Torrey got one of his own. With permission come this, as the ground allows, this time of year, not when there's a lot of foliage, of course, come, if I can make it happen,
Mark it out.
within, we could just get up there and walk it. Because this is it, because nothing, as you know, no Brimbos, no anything. So we're hopeful that that rock that the town didn't take action on, that the Reverend actually, in his letter, he posed an inscription to be put on the rock he had already acquired. So we're really certain, by common sense in that way, that once we do get up there, in and amongst all 120 years worth of growth that's been ignored, is going to possibly be that rock that's going to constitute the line that in 1902 Reverend Torrey articulated. And it was funny, it was a newspaper called the Georgetown Advocate. It's really the Raleigh Advocate, Georgetown Advocate, and the Byfield Advocate. I had to go to the Georgetown Public Library. I met the reference librarian there, and she turned me on to the digitized performance of that. It was a newspaper that was centered on the parish, not the religious concerns, but the political centrics that was Byfield Village for 200 years. In fact, Joe Dummer, the guy that owned what Joni Puritan lives in now, Joe Dummer lived in, of course, that house, as you know, Ferguson's house for a long time, so he was one of the editors of that paper. It's a resource, an archival thing, like I tap into the Newburyport stuff. This is one that Mrs. Augieri, who's a Newbury resident, by the way, she's a reference library at the Georgetown Library, a great asset. Very, she says you're going to find a lot of great stuff.
See, I didn't look a lot in the Georgetown ones too. I should. Yeah, I go to Newburyport all the time, but that's good to know.
It is. It was hard to get to. She had to walk me through the link. She says, "I'm sorry, it's not a kind site to get there."
That's all right. Once you figure it out, you figure it out.
Yeah, and it was phenomenal.
So you're following the line of sight, which would be the north-south boundary
right
on the west side.
Correct. You would go, as you came down that hill, yep, you would follow it there, follow it up. So I would believe that because it's on private property, we don't want to attract, if it's your house, the mystery people that'll follow a body or dream about having a ghost seance up there, as you all know, would be off the charts. You can't do that to the people. I don't think it would be fair, But by the same token, I think setting up, and this is what I would propose, and I'm spitballing with you and asking for your input, but working with Triton, as it's a public arena, it's where they perished, died, and we can put a monument acknowledging the location as the Newbury Alms House, where souls passed, and that they're buried 18 rods from here, something that we can note it, but we don't have to identify it. But those that know.
Yeah, so people don't go tromping into the woods.
100%, because if we put a street sign somewhere near this and an arrow pointing, people are going to go right for it. And I submit to you that, it can be seen if you drive Birch Street from that end at this time, because if you go from the Central Street up, I think it's the second and third house in on the right are far, and you see the backside of the wall that begins at Central, and you can really feel the 5 acres that he's talking about. But of course, it's not 5 acres of bodies, you understand. It was, I believe the area was probably used as the superintendent's house, not the chef that would keep the 45 people online living in the almshouse, but you needed a guy and a family to run the day-to-day operations of, if the paupers didn't get up, somebody's still got to take care of the cows, the pigs, they're planting, they're generating money there because that's what we as taxpayers demanded of the almshouse. We weren't just giving one way. They were de facto slaves to requests. I see numerous mentions. It's funny, Caldwell asking for labor out of there. We'd send an ox and a man or 2 men if you had a day's worth of haying on the property. And you see bills come back for it, and that's how they were generating money. And a unique thing I found out about the almshouse is that if you were a male between the ages of 12 and 60, you couldn't be there. You couldn't be charged for. You could be there, but you couldn't be, your family, your wife and 4 kids could, the town could do it, but you were whored out and not charged for it.
I hope you're writing this down so we can put it on the website.
I know.
I brought to you today the parcels, the deeding, how it evolved, and I offer it up. If somebody wants to copy it and offer it back, I'll work with you for some of the findings that I do and bring you hard copies so that we can develop, an old school metal file cabinet manila folder that says something like that for the,
Good to know, it's good to know.
And
I would have never known that. I mean, did you know that?
Just from what I saw on his Facebook post.
Yeah, crazy.
I knew about the
It is.
almshouse, but.
Yeah, the opposite was mentioned in
We might have some.
Oh, I cited,
information on that
it's in
house.
Coffin. Ewell Talks only barely touches it in the story of Byfield. It's not, because the story of Byfield for Ewell was still working regular farm, although it's touched on just barely.
Did the owners know that they had a cemetery on the properties?
That's why in 23, when Reverend Torrey came back to sell his wife's property, I say it must have been hard for him because he knew in 20 years before he had offered it to the town, he had offered it to his own pastorate, and his own congregation said, we didn't want it then, what are you doing to us now? And so it ended up, and again, he brought it forth to it, and I show you the select board records here because I found the meeting minutes where it was actually Article 20 on the 1900 annual town meeting. Will the town consider fencing the abandoned cemeteries in Newbury?
No.
And that, just like it is now, there's a warrant, and then there's the votes. And then you pull down, and there it is, Article 20.
Nope.
Voted that the selectmen will refer to the selectmen for guidance to fencing the abandoned cemeteries there. I look 10 years into the future, like a lot of things.
Yeah.
It was
Never
just,
happened.
they didn't want
Fell off
it
the
then,
edge.
they didn't want it now, and I say here we are, that is a good chance that it'll go. And if you all believe this is a reasonable way to go, I would be seeking the support of ultimately not only you, but probably in front of the selectmen, because this isn't something that would be casual, and I don't know how I'd quilt it with Brian with the Triton grounds. Of course, it's in our town, it's 3 towns. I doubt Rowley or Salisbury would do anything but honor what we're trying to honor here,
It would be like a landmark specifically to the land. I mean, it's not so much that it's Triton School District.
Yeah, right. We all recognize the land when it was purchased in '66, formerly Willowcroft Farm, and a number of things prior to that, that it was almshouse land, that it was private. So Brian was all on board with, he knew that it was a farm. He didn't actually know it was almshouse. He had heard stuff. So I had sent him this too, and he was very, very encouraged. I find him very enthusiastic about the pursuit.
Would you use the original inscription?
I would defer. I would. Did you see that
Well,
inscription?
that's what that made me think. I was like, well, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do the original
Do I
inscription.
have it? What did he? It was. Do I have it? Oh, it was a good one. We were guilt-ridden, he was Yankee puritanical guilt at the moment, trying to draw it out of us. You know, what should Newbury do with the present neglected spot? They knew, and this is one of the things that Mrs. David Torrey, formerly of Byfield, passes on. This is where it recognizes her. I show you I give you a map and the other deed, the original mapping, the original deeding, but I thought I kept that other letter in here as this. But I think I broke it up also because it was too much information all at once for everybody, so that's why I made it a two-part post. I didn't make it part of this. But you have it as part of your, I can do the part two. So I would defer at that moment for the inscription that we would put that up as one of the possibilities, because he's got a four-line to the former, it was a very nice one, frankly. Of course, a reverend came up with it, and it was a really simple one as well. And it doesn't say cemetery, and it doesn't say here lies, so it may be.
It could be like part of it, or though, I mean, I just feel like it kind of needs to be on there if it's, you know,
dates
destined to it, you know?
Yeah, so if we were luck, the ultimate luck thing, Channing, I believe, was if we were fortunate enough to find the stone, that we'd find somebody that would go up and get it for us, or one of the houses would let us climb back up there. But if not, I know that in our own spheres, we could come up with a boulder suffice enough to get to a spot at Triton where it could be so
Plenty of rocks in
inscribed.
town.
Right,
You have
yeah.
a shortage of
Doesn't have to be the
rocks.
special one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the thing, like, if we could figure out which one it was and actually use it.
It would be
all-
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, does the person care about the rock being moved?
See, I think it's gonna be, I would be, I think it's a delicate situation because nobody north, so to speak, of 23 and David Torrey selling it then, besides the whispers that some people would know about it, those 5 people don't know that, spirits lie in their backyard. But I submit to you that of the probably 50 to 70 bodies that I know of, that I've names that I've documented, that I was poached and documented there, I say that Torrey says, I know an undertaker or two. And in those days, you dug, 6 feet was dug.
That's what I was gonna say, I hope they're all down deep enough, because like, can you imagine?
But,
We had that discussion once before about 6 feet under and why,
but,
Right.
because of the smell.
but,
Yes, another dig them up.
yeah.
Yeah, like
but-
animals and stuff.
Literally, you
But-
have to be at least 6 feet under they figured that out years and years and years ago, but
But more so that, in addition to that, the 6-foot understanding was if you couldn't dig down far enough because your land didn't do it, you went down far enough to bury the body 3 feet, 4 feet, and then you stoned it. So that the animals couldn't dig it up. It wasn't the smell they were worried about, it was keeping the animals for that decomp period from digging it up.
Yeah.
So you didn't go 6. If you had a bunch of freaking rock, you got
And
loaded.
then you pile.
You
over,
piled
yeah.
that thing on, that was the Indian mounds with the
Yes,
same
that
sort of
makes sense.
principle.
Yeah, that makes
And then after the bodies were gone, what was left was the mounds, but if we're continuing this,
So now we need to pay attention to that area. So is that just not buildable? Is that why that area has never been?
how he broke it up was elongated. So if Central is this way and Elm is this way, it comes up this, like 400 feet, and it diagonally goes up there and then just comes back. And then he broke up the lots like this, like 5 lots.
Gotcha.
So the houses are close down here. The one old homestead is more towards the middle because it's got a barn. But the other houses that were built subsequent are low. So as I said before, if I ran a line, all of this remains, and you can still, it's in wood.
Yeah.
They don't want, because it's, for all the reasons, it's downfallish land. It's rocky, it's not friendly. You can see that visually from what you do, because when you pass it on Central, right after that rock wall, where I tell you, you pass a big rock outcropping, this bedrock in your face for probably 30 feet before it crawls back down, and then there's a driveway that curls up behind to get the lot that's on top of that. But when you do it top
That's over towards Birch Road.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, but the top of those 5 houses was the pasture that served the horse farm, etc.
But that's where that's the front of the property.
Right. So if Birch is going down here, and it is, the big rock wall that runs along Elm, Torrey gives indication of if his house is here and the barn is here, and it is, He carved it out like this because he wanted to have a public walk, like the first burying ground is way off of High Road, and you have a 3-foot right-of-way that Ilsley granted to get to the cemetery itself. I think he was using that same mentality because he could hug the elm wall, not cost himself any of the property, and then get up to where it was set.
Interesting.
Because you wouldn't put the bodies in the middle of the field because the superintendent is still under the, yeah, so that land's gotta be productive. You put that all in the middle and
You can't be plowing over it.
Right, so we'll use the existing wall, like, you know, like they
Yeah.
would, there's an existing boundary, so we'll do it here, we'll just keep putting bodies here, and he talks about the you know, the Reverend does, he talks about the ridge, the bodies at first being symmetric, and then just angular, and then just put in.
Any place you can find a spot. Yeah.
So, but he does confess, and that's why Stephen Hale, one of his letters in response to Tory, because Tory said, these bodies are my bodies, and I treat them like my bodies, so he plowed it all in and put manure on it because he wanted to make it like, you know, what I would say World War I field of poppies. I think that's what his vision was for the moment. So Hale got on him and said, hey, you're desecrating the graves, you should be leaving it alone, don't touch it. So there was a big controversy in the moment. And that's when it was brought, well, we'll let the selectmen decide. Well, everyone, and it got quietly put away. Hale, of course, you know, not long, you know.
So where'd you find that Hale information?
Hale has a letter to the editor where the almshouse word triggered his letter to the editor. So you have that as well, because he's
The Hale
the...
papers are missing from the library, so,
Oh, really?
yeah. they're gone.
That's a bummer to
Let's not
know.
go through that again.
It's frustrating when
I know,
that
never get over
happens.
it.
Yeah, he per usual, he really castigates them for, William Little is one of the letters, so William Little backs up Reverend Tory. WL was William Little, and he was a selectman. So he wrote it saying we should be, Tory was doing the right thing, and then, like I said, the Hale letter was a funny one. That's the one in the chatter that says, God's pauper's acre. We shouldn't be doing it just because they're paupers. And he was trying to make us own it morally, and that, but Lanny didn't, despite his best efforts, it didn't happen. So, roundabout, very confident it's there. It's about an acre because they talk about God's acre of the 4. We know it's not down low because you, just by the topography, after you guys all cruise around, I know you will, you know, you'll see, especially when you go from Birch, it's a nice rise, and it flattens off up at the top of the back of the houses, and you can understand why it was a horse farm in the moment for just, you know, not a big one, mind you, it was a, you know, private one for 1 or 2 horses that they brought in the stuff. It wasn't a self-sustaining 5 acres, mind you, you know, because that land was tied into the big farm. He didn't need to be self-sustaining here because he was feeding off the big farm, you know. So it was like I said, after it started coming together through the newspaper, through the maps, it all started to align, and then honestly, it was that Georgetown Advocate, the Reverend Tory himself, and the just stunning words that we knew it again and we denied it again. And I'm not, you know, I just think we owe something to all of those names that you'll go home to, because we were in charge of them when they died. So despite their misfortune, however it came about to them, because one of the other things, as part of the research, when you took somebody in, you had to explain why you were there. There were many, and it's about 2 or 3 sentences for each of them. They'll say, like, you know, Channing Howard, a man of the sea, left Portugal in 1807, has never had a home. Last port, Portsmouth, has been in Newburyport here and now in our almshouse. And you feel, when you were a say, for the first time, one of the first times, you're a man of the sea in those days. When you go to sea, you go, you know, it's always a 3-year trip. Well, pretty soon you don't land back in your home port, and all of those you have a wife, you know, you have a girl on every port, is because you don't have a home. So wherever you land, and then if you're a single guy for 50 years, you land in Portsmouth, you're looking for your next boat. Nobody takes you out. You're just old, you're just done.
Yeah.
And you don't have a pension, you only had your next boat ride in front of you. And now you're stuck in
Whatever random town you're in.
and it was
Yeah.
very, and that'll be this weekend, I'm gonna put that out, because there's gotta be 20 of those stories of how they ended up there. You needed a reason to be there. And each one of them's, heart-wrenching, Don't forget too, and I haven't gone too deep into it, as much as people were dying there, the other end of the spectrum, I found reference to 3 births.
No, it makes sense, right?
Because you get kicked out of the house, you're a pregnant girl in the 1830s. Bye-bye, you're lucky the almshouse takes you in, so to speak. So when I saw the 3 births, it was as humbling as was the deaths. That 40 people there. It's more or less like a very large house on High Street. Just picture one of the big 5 bays with 2 windows at the peak, not
Yeah.
one of the big, and then put an L on the back. It was like a 16, 20 room, operation.
Is there a picture of the almshouse on the
I
website?
think so.
Yeah.
So look it up again
I
now.
know that there's a picture in Coffin
Yeah.
of the almshouse.
Yeah.
It's, uh,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's interesting.
There's a picture of a house with people in front of it on the ground,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it? Yeah, okay.
So it was very,
Okay.
very, very humbling. So I hope that after I meet, I'll come next, if you want to put me on for your next agenda, I will inform you of what I find with Brian, and if the weather
I would
stays.
think Brian would welcome all that history. I mean, it's good for the children.
Yeah.
I
Lesson.
believe- He's,
Little kind of sad lesson, big lesson,
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, and what the great lesson is, and it was humbling, there was many stories there where it was just a shitty luck part. It was just a terrible luck of the draw. A wife and 4 kids are there for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And then, husband died at sea, hasn't come home yet, your lease ended, I want my money, what are you gonna do? Hey, you take your 4 kids and you go and you hope the man from the sea comes home, and if he doesn't, you're trying to pivot within the grounds, and you would take in peg work, the almshouse would take in piecework of all kinds, and then, because you see receipts,
Yeah.
where they're selling it, took in from, all the old names in town are throughout.
Right.
Even as part of the death list that you'll see amalgamated, there's plenty of Adamses, Coffins, it was, again, not shy to how the wheels of Wall Street turn. I think one of Hales's quotes is along that.
I have a love-hate relationship with him.
Cool.
All right, well, that's good.
Yeah, nice
Good
job.
luck.
We'll support you, and we want to hear from you again.
I look forward to coming to the next meeting. I'll report on the
Good
meeting.
luck finding the rock.
Yeah.
That is like so much fun.
I gotta tell you, there's gonna be a moment of a deep breath. After I'm allowed onto the house, and we're just in the back of the house and we're looking up at it, it's gonna be, because for those that recognize historical stuff, it's gonna speak to you,
Oh, yeah.
just like like you touch the wall, because you wanna know who laid that wall 400 years ago. You wanna know who, the last guy that touched it was an ox and a laborer, and
I talked to the wall in front of my house. I mean, it's all original.
it is, it's
And what that wall's seen.
and what it could tell. We can definitely become that little
Getting,
When you're ready, I'll walk it with you.
Oh,
That's me.
if the first time,
I want
I'm sure the first time isn't gonna be fanfare, I'll be honest with you.
Get out there.
I'm gonna get quiet permission, and I'm gonna be able to go probably by myself, I won't. And the relationship I build with a person I don't know right now, or any one of the 5 homes. I know Dennis and Alana Casey border it from the other side. They're on the Central Elm side, on that corner, across the street from Jesperson's, the old female seminary.
Yeah.
They're up on that hill, so I can see the 4-course wall from his side. So I see where I have to be, but I don't know the people on the Central, so it's a relationship building there, and how comfortable somebody's gonna wanna be. They may say, I don't want you, I didn't
They
want.
might be like, you weirdo, go away.
Yeah, I didn't even
They
want.
might not want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
That
or
explains
they're gonna
a
give
lot,
the
yeah.
ancient thing.
Exactly.
You're like,
Get
I'm
outta
gonna get
here.
that as I walk up the driveway.
And on the odd chance of someone watches this video, you wanna be careful how much information you're giving out.
That's why I submit to
Yeah.
you the monument would be, a
Not on
salute,
their
but.
property and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Triton serves it very well in the sense of, it was actually the home of the Arms House where it took place. And the momentum, it's not it's got boots on the ground for the spot, it's not.
Yeah.
It's so like the Meeting House Rock. Here stood the Arms House, because it did. We don't say here stood, the cemetery. And I think that'll work in everyone's favor. And I think, as to your points directly, it's learning experience always and forever. And it opens up a lot of doors throughout there, so to speak, with the ability to enlighten the kids as to the great history that Rowley has, that Salisbury has, and that Newbury has. We're very blessed that we're able to walk around, and a lot of locals will say we're very much encumbered upon and we're encroached, but for the trained eye, we're still pretty close to what we were a long time ago, and we're very lucky for that. I'm very pleased, and that's right. And I appreciate all you do, all of yous, and I follow you, and I like to consider myself a historical commission groupie, so
Oh.
please.
You keep me entertained, I tell you.
Okay,
Well,
All right, thank you.
So let me know, if you have official information to get on our website, the town website that's for the historical commission, you can send an email there officially
Okay.
for the next meeting and all that
Get
stuff,
on the agenda.
so to speak, yeah.
Well, maybe we'll use that Boy Scouts interest corner that you're gonna build, and we'll start it with something like, I don't know. But I'll absolutely, as the content master, I'd work with you at whatever level, Jack just keeps throwing it to me. If you give it to me chronologically, I'm gonna load it chronologically, and we'll be good to go.
You do come up with amazing stuff, so it's good.
I'll do whatever we can to perpetuate what we're all trying to do here. That's the goal. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Jen.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, what else do we have going on here? Email sent, paper email sent to MHC postcard?
Yeah,
What's that?
Mass Historical Commission,
Yeah,
there was a postcard,
okay,
And I
okay,
showed
so
it.
you already showed it, okay.
literally, it was a postcard.
Update from Lon's not here,
Lon said that nothing's changed. He sent
okay.
an email and said nothing has changed since the last time, except,
Okay, now the budget, I submitted the budget this year. As far as expenses go, no changes.
it's gotta change.
No, expenses.
They've got to change.
You mean it's got to change?
The cost for like the, outhouse at the
They always have to
Green
Comfort
update.
station.
Yeah.
is going to increase. I'm sure he always increases it.
All right, well, not this year. And the wage summary is going up, so I submitted that, just because it hasn't been, they didn't give a percentage raise, and then there was not a complete funding the year before. So wages for the clerk will go up. So those are in, they had to be in. They don't give us any time to do it, so
Good.
that's taken care of. Schoolhouse roof, I haven't done anything with that. I got one email from one of the salesmen. Other unfinished business, we can hold on that. QR code for the schoolhouse. We gotta figure out how we can start working on that.
Yeah, and I was thinking if we have a QR code, that eliminates the need for the literature bucket
Yeah.
on the outside. I started a little bit of research and on the organ, the melodeon, which is actually what it is.
Melodeon,
It's
is
a
that what you call
melodeon. Yeah. And once we get the website up and running, I can start passing on stuff
Yes.
and referencing it. So we're pretty close to
Could we ever
being
get
ready
that
to
thing
roll.
working again? It's like that.
Lon said he played it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
When?
I,
We used to be able to play it.
Like, did you just plug it
But
in?
No, you don't
no,
plug it
there's
in.
no,
It's
there's
in
no,
there.
no, you pump the
Logan.
pedals.
No, but I'm just saying, it's not like we've changed it or whatever, it's like completely original, right? Because like I know sometimes you can like,
Yeah, but
Add
no,
this,
you can
when I
rebuild it.
first
Yeah.
started going down there on the historical commission, it worked.
really?
But apparently our furry little friends have
Oh,
been
chewing the insides
at
out?
eating the bladder in the back.
Bellows
Bellows, yeah.
inside,
Oh.
the
Gotcha.
Probably leather.
deer
right?
skin or
Yeah.
something.
And somebody said that they found somebody, I don't know whether it was you or somebody down there said, they knew of somebody that can repair it, but they're never the same.
Okay.
So it's a question of spending all that money to.
And then not even have it be worth it?
Yeah,
Right.
so
Bummer.
that's the other reason why we put the sign, do not touch on it, and why I don't frequently open the cover, because the kids were literally pounding on the keys.
Interestingly, the
So-
ones that are really valuable are not the American-made ones, they're the European-made ones. And the difference is that the American-made ones, when you compress the bellows, it blows across the reeds. And the European-made ones do just the opposite. They suck the air
Oh.
across the reeds. So,
Oh,
yeah, so apparently that makes the reeds last longer. And so.
And we of
it-
course have an American one,
We have an American, yeah, that's a Boston,
right?
it's
Oh, yeah.
Smith and Company, Boston.
Who rolled that across the street and stuck it in there because they didn't know what else to do with it?
Yeah, and where did we get this, an 1850 date on it?
Mm.
And Smith and Company, Boston, didn't start building organs until 1852. So I don't know where that date
it's the
came from.
1850s.
They make good firewood.
Apparently.
People love seeing that.
Bars.
They
That's
love
one,
the-
that and the map are the two
Yeah.
things people
And-
really get a kick out of.
And the chalk to make
Yeah.
that.
Oh, to make the staff,
Exactly,
yeah.
yes.
My sister looked at that, she said, we used to have one of those in
Yeah,
St.
I remember
Patrick's.
those, I remember those from school.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some correspondence from inspectional services, or did you
That was the
talk to
ferry
them?
house.
No, one
No.
Hanover.
One Hanover,
Oh,
With
I
the
did
windows.
meet with him.
yeah.
I met with Peter on it, and he looked at the information that he was given and said they're very high-quality replacement windows. They're not the Anderson, it was the other big one.
Hello?
Marvin? Marvin, maybe?
I don't know, no, I'll do it, I think, if I could hear it.
There's a lot
but-
of windows, but anyways.
And he said they're very expensive windows and you will not see a change.
All right, well,
Because they're not like shiny plastic junk, so to speak.
Which house is this? Sorry?
This is the
one Hanover
One
Street.
Hanover,
The,
one high road,
the
one Hanover.
Reverend's house that was
Yeah, yeah,
on the upper green there.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so yeah, so he said and he used to have to do this stuff for Newburyport with all the districts, and he said they were really expensive, high-quality windows, and from the street, you could not see a difference.
Okay.
And on the fire extinguishers, you wanna give me the address of the people you get your fire extinguishers from? I'll go down and buy fire extinguishers.
The place was in Woburn, but I can get you that
If you can
information.
give me that address, I'll go down and buy a couple of fire extinguishers and
Then just
appropriate
put in for
signage.
re-
I'll put in for reimbursement,
reimbursement,
yeah.
okay. All right, I've got
Is
that in my
there a
phone
special place to
somewhere.
get them?
No, they're commercial ones that you get re-tagged every year. The
Oh,
plastic
yeah.
ones you can't get
The
inspected.
ones, yeah, like at a
So it's the all
restaurant.
metal ones,
Gotcha.
so a couple of the bigger ones. Okay,
But they're just like, 5-pounders, right?
5s to 10s, I think, I
Yeah.
forget what we got.
Cool.
But, and they're the company that inspects them also.
Yeah. And then we're gonna have to decide on exactly where to place them.
So then will they come out to the schoolhouse to check them for us?
Well, they need to be
Is that
at
how
the
that works?
exits.
No, you drive them back to Woburn and get them stamped.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
I think there's a linear footage separation.
buildings of assembly, it's every 50 feet,
Yeah.
so it's not a building of assembly, so I think just one just inside the door.
Yep.
I think that's all we need.
By like,
I thought we decided we wanted two. One.
It's like 5 steps across the building, I don't think we
yeah.
need more than one, really.
Well, I mean, in theory, it's like, do you keep one by the back desk maybe like tucked away in the corner as like a backup for like on that side of the building, and then one by the entry door,
Because
just,
the entrance, the second entrance does not work really well with the attic stairs are, that
Yep.
door. So if it's by the door that people come in and out of, we, you know, I guess the question is, should there be one by the back door too, or no? I thought at one point we were saying there should
I
be
think
two of them.
One's enough?
sufficient. Their line of thought nowadays is they don't want you trying to put the fire out. They just want you out
get
of
you
the
out.
building.
I was gonna say,
You're
I
supposed to
mean,
use a fire extinguisher if you need it to get out.
to
get out.
smash the
Yeah.
window and pop out the window, you know, like it's real.
Okay,
All right,
that's good.
it's been a long night.
There's a
It's
spine print in the
cold
bottom.
in here. Do we have anything
No.
else before the
No, I think
board
we're,
tonight?
I think
think
we're
that's
good.
it.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
All right, second.
I said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
8:20.